Welcome back to the Chatooine Show, everyone, the best and brightest podcast in the galaxy, filled with a wretched hive of scum and villainy. We're here every Wednesday nights talking everything about Star Wars and other stuff. I'm Star Wars only, and tonight I'm joined with Lunga, Palpamemes, and the Goldman. Um, First thing I got to ask you guys is, do you remember the Red Wedding?
No.
You remember Kylo Ren? Do you
I
remember
remember
Duel
the
of
Knights of
Fates?
Ren, which I will talk about later.
Oh, do you remember Star Wars? Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I remember.
No, not really.
I should
do you
have worn
remember-
I should have worn a member shirt. But yes,
Didn't
yeah,
you
you
hear
should've.
Star Wars
Those-
only? This isn't real Star Wars, okay? Haven't you caught it already?
Because what you don't understand, Palpamemes, is that you got to remember there are more of us.
Oh.
Yeah. Remember the power of one, the power of two,
The
power of many. It's so bad that it's actually kind of good sometimes.
I'm
Oh
starting
my
to,
God.
I'm starting
like
to
it
warm
already.
up to it. I'm starting to be like,
I'm telling you, it's so bad. It's like, all right, like I got a joke in there somewhere. It's kind of like it's gonna be a great thing. But if you guys are watching this live or listening to this later, leave us a like to help out the channel. And if you're new here, subscribe. We're only one subscriber away from 600 subs
I'm
on
gonna
Chatooine.
unsubscribe
I'm gonna-
actually.
yeah,
so we're
I'm gonna
two.
unsub-
Yeah,
all my
I hate
brothers.
you all.
Yeah.
I
I'll
hate
push
you
it back a
all.
week.
I hope Kymir chops off your head just like he did in the Jedi.
Yeah, remember Alex? Oh, I remember. Remember Chewbacca?
I remember.
We got to start updating member berries with their like AI voice or something to remembering things that happened like last fucking night. Like, oh my God. But yeah, if you enjoy this nonsense of a show, become a member, become a channel member, or leave us a super chat during the show and we'll answer any questions that you guys have. So onto the topic. I really liked last week's episode of House of the Dragon, if I'm being honest. I thought the ending was just superb.
I don't
That's
think
what
I'm supposed to
talking
be
about.
here for this one. I think I need to
Oh,
go.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Good
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Have a good show, everyone.
The Boys season 4. Okay, that one was. Oh my God. It's so
The
funny.
fucking
that
Acolyte!
there's like 2 or 3 other shows going on that are just so much more entertaining than this. Like,
This
entertaining
thing.
it's entertaining. I can't disagree with the fact that Acolyte is entertaining, but what kind of entertainment are we? It's like watching a train wreck, and you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. I mean, look at the front and the way it bent and everything like that. I hope
But I think
nobody
it's
got
also
hurt.
but it's also it's a what House of the Dragon. Sorry. It's Palpamemes. But it's also it's a combination of the dialogue again, remember we talked about last week about on paper? Fucking him laying there with the woman curled up looking like fucking Voldemort at the end of Harry Potter saying I'm sorry for it. On paper sounds dumb, okay?
Yeah.
But when you see not told all the shit that's going on and you see the expressions on his face and you add the expert way he gave the line, it suddenly transforms it into an amazing scene. Okay? That's the kind of shit we want to see in Star Wars. Not the same kind of storytelling as House of the Dragon. Not sex. Not all that other stuff that it has. Not the
Not mommy issues.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself, Lunga.
Oh, hold on, sir. You got some sex in
I
Andor.
forgot he just hit puberty.
Oh, great.
Oh,
Going
thank
through
you.
it
Oh,
already. Hey!
big shout out to Fofo Nucleus.
Fufu
What does
Noblis.
that say?
Wait, you say
Fufu?
fofo, I say fufu.
At
It says-
AT-AT.
He said, been a while since I've been here, but keep up the good work, guys. And Gothman. It's not Golfman anymore. It's not Goldman. It's Gothman. Really liking the show so far. Might be my second favorite show behind Andor. Thank you,
Oh,
Fofo.
wow.
Oh, and
okay.
for the first time, this is in pounds, guys. That means it's actually more than what it says.
God,
So
inflation
we're
is
up to
killing
two
us.
more
More in
dollars.
dollars.
Wow. You're saving us Foo-Foo, Fofo, and the Foo
Nick-
Fighters.
Golfman, you're,
Goldman,
you're
your-
muted.
your mic's
You're
muted.
it's
I'm glad
Gothman
you
now.
said something
It changed
funny.
his name in the border.
Yeah.
Speaking
Anywho.
of border, are you guys looking forward to the debate tomorrow? Nope, let's not get into that. I'm sorry.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, no. Let's. There's enough of a culture war going on in Star Wars right now that I think this is
It's all the same. It's,
enough
it's
to
all
deal
the
with.
same.
And I have to say, I'm so surprised with how bad the online rhetoric is around this show. Like this show more than any other Star Wars show or movie, I feel like really is like picking a side. Where now like everyone's kind of seeing like both sides are kind of toxic. You get people who are like, you can't say anything negative at all, and you got people who are like, oh, this was bad before it even came out, and
Keyboard
everyone's kind of
warriors.
looking at this. Yeah,
Black and
everyone's
yeah. Are
seeing
you
that
on
now.
Team Black or Team Green? Which one? Which team are you on?
Exactly. It's getting old, but well, that's a conversation of another day, and that can take us all day to talk about. But last night, episode 5 of the Acolyte. Last week's was called Day. Believe it or not, this one's called Night. So, yeah.
Wow.
And
Wow.
next week's episode is called Morrow. It's gonna be great. So Night came out last night, and it followed up Day from last week. God, I hate these fucking titles. Lunga, what was your initial reaction to last night's episode of The Acolyte? Hit us with your best shot, sir. I know you took some notes. He's got some complaints.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna go because unlike the other two co-hosts on the show, I'm not gonna, bust my nut in this opening because I try not to step on people's toes when we get into the nitty gritty. So I'm not gonna use the notepad for the intro, but better than episode 4. Somehow, let me turn on the timer. Somehow, it made, and this is why when Goldman was asking, we talked about it. As far as ratings, it also things change as we watch it. It somehow made episode 4 even less relevant and necessary than it was. Didn't change how bad episode 3 was, but the stuff in episode 3 did play into it, at least. But episode 4 became less relevant. We didn't even need episode 4. Honestly. We didn't. We just needed the last 30 seconds. Everything else in episode 4 was just not necessary. Especially once again, the flip-flop of May's character that happened again in this episode. I'm happy that it's better. But I don't think it's better enough to make the series better yet. Let's just put it that way. In my eyes. I mean, and again, I'm not saying this is horrendous, but it's still, yeah. Oh, Zach Briggs. Thank you, Zach.
By George
Keep talking
Parrish,
shit about
annoying
Yord.
guy. You're
Not
not
the
rocking with
Yord
Yord?
horde.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Zach.
Well, I'm glad you didn't go over everything, Lunga. Thank you for saving some of the nitty gritty for later.
I tried.
When
Because if I don't, then Pebble Beams and Goldman will have nothing to talk about in their intro. So
there you go. Yeah, you can't take everything that we're gonna say. This is the appetizer, gentlemen. So Palpatine's, give us your appetizer. What is it? Fried calamari? Is it the breadsticks? What do you do?
No, this feels like Olive Garden breadsticks. It's like, you know what? I liked it in the moment, but once I'm done eating, the date went home, and I'm just kind of like, man, I probably ate too many breadsticks, and that's what this episode was. It was too many Olive Garden breadsticks. They threw all their eggs in one basket because they know this show is just not going to hit, so they're like, you know what? Let's make a 30-minute episode of nothing but fucking fighting. And you know what? I'll say it right here, right now. They did a damn good job at the fights. I thought they were cool. I have some problem with the direction of them because you can tell they're limited with their set piece. However, the choreography was good. Choreography and cinematography are two different things. So, I like that. However, the story, no, I'm still not down. I don't care about any of these characters. I was sad that Jackie died, but that was because of another movie she was in, Logan, so that says a lot about the show. My initial reaction was simply, I felt dull once again, but I felt more hyped up because fights are supposed to amp you up and hype you up. That's what I felt. But I just didn't care. Lunga kind of brought it up a little bit about May's characterization. It's horrendous. It's awful. She's flipped twice in this episode alone. It's horrible. The Sith did a great job. I love the Sith. It's nice to see a Sith just be evil like he did. We saw some darker stuff than we have typically in Star Wars with some neck snapping. 3-hole punch Jackie. I thought that was cool, but no, it's not enough to get me like, wow, this is picking up, because it's too far too late. We're over halfway done with the season, and I don't care still. I still do not care. Oh, also, Master Soul is a complete moron, and I'll explain why later. Those are my thoughts.
All right, Goldman, you're next on the list, sir.
I I really love the episode. Maybe I've just come to terms with that I'm not gonna love this show, And since I know going forward I'm not going to love all the story aspects of the episode, I absolutely loved the fighting. I have no complaints. Like, sure, the environment isn't as great, but we've complained about that for a whole episode last week. I don't know. There were so many creative parts of this fight that I loved. I loved the use of the helmet, and it's like some special metal that turns off lightsabers. I loved the creative ways Chimere killed people. Like, he snapped her neck. I didn't expect to see that. He did the multi jab. I don't know. I think the reason why I love this episode is because I was genuinely surprised by how a lot of the fight turned out. I did not at first. You know, at first they killed Chimere killed like all the no-name Jedi, and then it's just Yord, Jeki, and Soul. I'm like, okay, yeah, of course, like the name characters survive, and then he kills the other two. Now I was shocked. I was genuinely shocked, and yeah, I don't really care about like Soul, May, and Osha in their direction. I'm invested in what Chimere's up to, and I can give the episode credit. I have no clue where the show's gonna go. I'm assuming that Chimere might try and manipulate Osha, but like plot-wise, I don't really know. And yeah, I'm not like super engaged. I wouldn't say I love this show. I wouldn't say it's a good show by any means. But you know what? A lot of people are saying I don't care about these characters. I care about one character, and that's better than zero. But yeah, this episode genuinely surprised me. I thought the action was fantastic. I'm not going to nitpick it and say I have weird little complaints. I loved it, so I loved the episode.
I'm so in the middle between you and Palpamemes, I feel like, because the fighting and everything, a lot of the stuff that had to deal with the Sith and taking out the Jedi and everything, I did love that. I love the shock and awe of this episode. Seeing Yord get his head snapped, seeing Jeki get stabbed like 3 times and everything. Like, a lot of it was very fun and enjoyable, but I don't feel like it's going to age all that well, just because I don't feel very connected to a lot of these characters and everything. And like Goldman just said, I'm very interested in the Chimere thing of what's going to come next, but that's not really the plot of the series, though. Is my problem is the plot is about May and Osha. So this episode really gives you the highlights of the good and bad of the Acolyte. Of the premise is great and everything. Having a Sith back in live action and everything, and seeing a new Sith is great, but you don't have a lot of substance behind it. In this series that was supposed to be about the Sith and the Rule of Two, we're 5 episodes in. It's really just about May and Osha, and throughout this episode, you kind of see that a lot, where it just kind of cuts back and forth, and so I had a great time watching this episode just because I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. What's going to happen next and everything, but the highs in this episode are the highest that the Acolyte has reached, but the lows are just the common lows in the Acolyte that take you out every time. And that's what kills me with the series, is that it is hard to have an overall good time because there's so many moments where it's either the editing, the directing, the writing, the pacing, something in it that just makes you go, ugh, this looks kind of bad. All right, come on. Like, can we get back to the stuff I want? So I had a good time watching it. I had a good time watching the episode last week, but stuff like that, I feel like for me fades as time goes on, and I don't know, man. I scratch my head at the end of every episode. Go ahead, Coleman.
What was your tweet at the end of last week's episode? You're like, a banger episode.
Banger episode.
Do you
6
think,
out of 10.
Do you think this is a banger episode?
Yes, yeah. That's what kills me. Okay. It's like a joke almost, where it's like, yo, this is a banger episode. 5 out of 10. You know,
it's not a joke anymore. It's you literally just admit you use the wrong fucking word.
No, not
just
at all.
admit it.
Not at all. Not at all. No, it was a banger. There's a lot of great moments.
I will say.
The Phantom Menace had a banger lightsaber fight. Had absolutely zero emotion behind it.
But you didn't say the Phantom Menace was a banger movie.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do say I love the Phantom Menace and the Phantom Menace. I love the Phantom Menace. Awful movie.
I want to ask you a question, Star Wars only.
I want to give you an answer, Palpamemes.
I want you to be very, very honest with me. You say you enjoyed last week's episode, which I let you know my thoughts about that last week. Do you think the main and pretty much only things you like about this show is the fact that it is Star Wars? The only things you seem to like about it are the things that are just at its core Star Wars.
My answer to that at this point, yes,
lightsaber fight
would be the Sith. Yes, I love the Sith, and that is why this episode and last week's episode of seeing him enter and everything like that and seeing him fight, as a nerd, and that's where my nerd core comes out, where I'm like, okay, cool, I get to see a Sith fuck up a bunch of Jedi. Haven't seen this in 20 odd years. I love this.
where I just
Yeah, remember Alex? Oh, I remember. Remember Chewbacca?
this is where I want to come in and say this is where I get frustrated the most with the show is you do have banger scenes and banger things in this show. For instance, this lightsaber fight, but it's held back by just the bland and horrible storytelling. I just wish Star Wars would have good storytelling while having that crazy cool Star Wars stuff on top of it. It's so frustrating. It seems like they can never do both. Maybe besides Andor, but even Andor, it's its own political thriller. It's kind of its own corner.
Goldman, why are you falling asleep?
We're just repeating. It's like we have nothing new to add to the discussion. It's like we all know the
Oh, no, we
storytelling
do.
is not great. We all know the characters aren't that great. It's like, okay.
Oh, I have something to say about
Well,
that.
no, but that's why-
we
that's
do.
why I said it
That's
felt
when you
like
get
the end
into
of it.
the. That's when you get into the nitty gritty. That's when you get into the little things. That's where the discussion, becomes a discussion, right?
But- well,
Because
that's where
when
the
we're talking
discourse
about
is at.
broad strokes, these are the broad strokes. That's where it's at. We haven't gotten to the little finer details yet, Gold.
But I think that's where a lot of this culture warrior stuff is coming out of right now, where it's like, I don't know, man. This franchise has become very, very interesting, and it's gotten to a point with the show like this where Goldman is saying he loves it, but you said openly it's because a lot of the show has been kind of trash and everything.
Yes.
And that's been a symptom of the Star Wars fandom for years now, where people who always want to be in the good graces of Lucasfilm or anything, they stop saying anything negative to stay in those good graces. And so every time something bad comes out and they all just say it's so good, Lucasfilm gets this like comfortability where it's like, oh, okay, well they're okay with like lower quality content, and the quality gets lower and lower and lower. Where now you got people making like protest videos if you don't like this episode, like it's this franchise is so weird.
Why do you care so much about what random people on Twitter are saying?
It's not random people on Twitter. It's the entirety of the Star Wars fandom.
It's the influencers.
Is it the entirety of the
Goldman.
Star Wars fandom? Really? Is it really the entirety?
Yes, bro. Like, okay, maybe not every casual
hold on,
Joe
hold on,
out
hold
there,
on,
I
hold
think
but
it's
you look at Instagram,
vast,
YouTube,
vast
Twitter.
minority.
I want to push back on this
No.
Star Wars only on what you're saying, because if you go to Twitter, you have one section. Yes, you have people shilling for it because they want to get sent out to Lucasfilm. Great, good for them. I hope it happens. You go on Instagram, go to the comment section on literally any Star Wars post over the past 3 weeks.
Dude, most people dislike the show. I talk to people at my work. I talk to my friends who aren't keyboard warriors like we are. Most of them do not like the show. So it's like, yeah, a few influencers out there are saying it's great so they can go to premieres. Okay, it's like this is such a small segment of people. It's probably less than 100 people, honestly, in all of the fandom that are getting invited to these events. I don't see why this is important or relevant or why it's shaping your opinion of the show.
It's not shaping my opinion of the show. It's shaping my opinion of the franchise. It's a symptom of Lucasfilm looking at this one group of core people that you're right. Maybe it's less than 100 people that they listen to, but it's the only fans that they actually like connect with and care about and everything. Like it's become to a point where it's like they're ignoring any criticism at all. And shout out to
how do you know
XL
that?
for the super chat.
We've oh god, super chat. We heard Leslie Headland talk before the show how she wants to respect the fans and she wants to dive deep into lore. It's like we heard good things from her. It's like now that the show is bad, you're assuming these things that like, oh, she doesn't care about whatever.
No,
see,
I didn't say that at
I
all.
haven't
I didn't
said
say that at all. No.
And some people get upset because they're like, "Oh, you're still shilling for this bad actor." I'm like, no, Leslie Headland. I do believe she loves Star Wars, but an artist is an artist, and an artist is gonna art, and sometimes we don't like the art. that's the deal. But yeah, super chat from Exalt. Best live action Star Wars fight scene, banger, 8 of 10. You've created a new
Shout out to my boy.
I would
Shout out
say-
to my boy.
lexicon.
I would say it's. I mean, I thought it's fun to watch. It's very entertaining. It's better than Anakin Dooku episode 2.
Well, that's not
Not a high
that's not
bar.
a hard bar.
It's not a high bar.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's not my favorite, but. My
But
favorite's the
honestly,
ones in
like
movies.
the
Anyways.
big thing that they were hyping up about this series was this lightsaber duel, and they said it was going to rival Duel of the Fates. I don't think it
I think it
did,
did.
of course. No, I don't think it did.
Yeah.
I think the shock and all of it is better than Duel of the Fates. I mean, you see Qui-Gon die, and I guess that was
No.
kind of shocking. But
There was
the
more,
amount of dying
it was
that
more
happened,
emotional.
yeah, there was a lot more going on in this one, but I don't know. I think Duel of the Fates is still far better choreographed and everything like that, and it drags on a little bit. It does build up and everything. This one he just wrecks all these Jedi, and it's so fun and it's so cool to watch. and it completely takes you away from anything relating to like May and Osha. And that's what kills me about this episode is like I always go back to the editing. Like I said before the show, this is the worst editing I think I've ever seen in Star Wars. It is like Star Wars TikTok, where you have literally a scene where with Osha starts running away from the stranger or from the Sith Chimere, and then it cuts to May inside the hut, and she goes and calls Naka's lightsaber. It immediately cuts back to Osha running from the Sith again, and then she reunites with Sol, and those two are about to fight. And then it cuts back to May running outside to run into Jackie, and then back to it's just constant back and forth. It's like it's not even 60 seconds. They don't let scenes breathe.
I want to ask you something. Is this not an issue you had with Phantom Menace duel? It's like you see Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon fighting Darth Maul, then it cuts to Jar Jar throwing plasma grenades, and that's Anakin doing spins.
It's literally the exact same thing. It's what Ben Burt literally that whole meme about. I may have gone too far in a few places. People like really don't understand the context of that. Ben Burt literally looks to him and goes, he's like, it's a lot going on within a span of 2 minutes.
Dense.
You go, he's like, it's like first of all, that's Rick McCollum, fucking asshole.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't watch the Phantom Menace documentary 30 times a year.
You need to know the background to this stuff, all right? So Ben Burt is like, you go from lamenting the death of a hero to slightly comedic to Jar Jar to back to Anakin to back to this, my bad, with the duel with freaking Qui-Gon and all. Like, it's so much going on at once. It's too much, and that's what's happening with this. But the difference is it's not cutting between 4 different perspectives of what's happening with Padme, what's happening with Qui-Gon and Anakin, and what's happening with Obi-Wan, what's happening with the Gungans and all that stuff. All this is happening is between the Sith and the Jedi, and then May and Osha, and it's still too much. It's still too much cutting. Like I cannot understand how Lucasfilm, who has been so like anal about hiring very professional people to make these movies and shows and everything like that. This feels like the most amateur of productions that they've done. Like they gave a kid with the most money ever.
Obi-Wan Kenobi exists.
The directing was better in Obi-Wan Kenobi than in this.
It was.
Okay, Kenobi was made with less than $100 million. This is a $180 million budget, and it looks like shit.
Sure, you can compare it had less episodes.
It is directing, but we'll want to get into this because this comes back to what I thought was a good thing. Is the writer's room. People are not fucking talking to each other. They're not fucking talking to each other, or they're not watching. They can't watch because they're making it, but they're not looking at the film of the last episode. They're just taking the show notes and doing the next. This feels like.
Do you think maybe
Force
Lunga
Awakens into the Last Jedi again? It's just like no one's paying attention. Yes, it's that bad.
Do you think it's maybe because these shows are on an assembly line at Disney and they are very rushed out and there's not a lot of quality control going on?
No, you could tell that this, like, for all the hate Kenobi gets, which I still don't think it was, I mean, it's not tops, okay? But I don't think it was that bad, right? People think it's that bad because it's Kenobi, right? You expect more.
Well, the expectations were very high for that show.
Because it's Kenobi. Okay,
as they should be, because it's Kenobi.
But right, but when you compare it just in general to other Star Wars stuff they've done, it wasn't that bad. There were some bad moments, but overall it was decent. They could have gave us a more compelling story instead of just the emotional moments. But the writing was okay, and the direction was okay. Deborah Chow did a decent job with directing it. This one is all over the fucking place. It is just all over the fucking place. And even the only one I could say that was this bad as being all over the place is Book of Bob. Because every episode we're like, wait, where are we now? Yeah. Wait, what's going on here? How does this drive next? Wait, now we're in the Mandalorian season 3? What's going on here? That's only happened with this and Book of Bob. All the other shows, for better or for worse, we could have rated the show bad, but they had good. Bad Batch, we hated it, but it was cohesive, man. At least it was cohesive.
Yeah, we never said the writing of the Bad Batch was bad. We were just like, all right, there's too many fillers. This story isn't really that interesting. Like, we have our complaints, but it's not like we're complaining about the same thing show to show to show.
Right.
These shows they do good in certain aspects, other shows don't, and they do worse in certain aspects that other shows don't. This show, for some reason, has a great premises, but yet doesn't capitalize on it. And whoever is making, like, it's crazy to me that like 5-10 years ago I would have said Lucasfilm needs to stop having so much creative control over these creative people with the writing and directing and just let them do what they need to do. Now I'm like, who the hell was supervising this project? Like who and it goes to the Dave Filoni thing where people were like pray and Leslie Helen talked about how like Dave and everyone at Lucasfilm like looked at the stuff and didn't say no to a single thing. And I'm like, to me as an audience member, that
Editing room floor
blows my mind. That is mind blowing to me, bro.
I honestly think, especially because Palpatine brought it up last week, how the director for episode 4 was all over social media answering questions, was actually quite active, and how, we weren't given the budget the other episodes, we had to cut time, we had to this. I honestly think there was a lot of stuff on that cutting room floor that could have made this more cohesive. I really believe that. Because it can't be that much incompetence, right? To go where you have just one of your two main characters change drastically 3 times in the course of 2 episodes.
But Lunga, with or without that stuff, every single scene, writing and a lot of it is really, really bad. I don't think adding any time to this stuff. I don't think there's anything left on the cutting room floor. Maybe a couple things, but that
writing makes it
fundamentally change.
But there are fundamental mistakes, huge fundamental mistakes. But those fundamental mistakes could have been look like mistakes because parts of context were cut out. There's a possibility of that. You can't discount it.
But there's nothing that's going to fix take the civilian to the ship and then Yord going civilian to the ship.
Can I say I hate that word? Why with the Marines now? Or is this fucking is this Halo? Is that what we're watching now? It's
I don't know. Well let's get back to the nitty.
Yeah.
I wanted to get back to like most of the show and everything, and the biggest reveal, of course, is that Chimere actually is the Sith.
I wouldn't say it's the biggest reveal.
Well, I mean, it's
the biggest
Well,
reveal.
the biggest
They
reveal is that
wanted
the
us to
show's
think
trash.
Was the biggest reveal.
I guess reveal maybe, but I don't think the show played it out as
You don't remember me? You don't know who I am while I'm wearing this helmet and this voice modulator? You don't remember me? Remember?
Yeah, like,
I remember.
Also, I guess keeping the helmet on prevents him from getting his mind read from Soul.
It's apparently he's
It's
Magneto
Magneto
now, and Soul
yeah, it's
is
Magneto, yeah.
I immediately
that's
thought it. I was like, Magneto?
That's what I thought too.
All right, yeah. I stuff like that I looked over because I didn't really care so much, but I thought this is where I get torn with the show. I thought the reveal, great, him immediately stabbing Jackie like 3 times, or Jackie, whatever the hell her name is, and then you just see him like he looks badass, but they didn't do anything. Like Leslie Headland openly said in an interview, I think today with Entertainment Weekly about this episode, that it was supposed to be kind of obvious that Chimere is the Sith Lord and everything, and that it's like, okay, I mean, sure, but then I don't know, man. It's not
She's a
satisfying
prequel
to me.
fan. We know what she is, right? We know she's a prequel fan. Let's be honest. It was obvious Sidious was with Palpatine was Sidious, right? We knew that.
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
though
how could you
in
not?
universe, it was supposed to be, he's hiding in broad daylight, right?
Yeah.
Of course, in plain sight. But it's supposed to be that tongue in cheek. Yeah, you guys, you know who it is. You know what I mean? But what you're supposed to do is see how he fools everybody else, which you had one interaction with them for a whole 2 minutes.
It was so powerful.
It's
Oh, God.
yeah.
Well, so Lunga, did you like the reveal of Chimere being the Sith? I mean, of course, it's not surprising to any of us.
I mean, it's weird when you say like. I mean, did I like that Chimere is the Sith?
No.
That is yet to be seen. That is yet to be seen because it depends on how he ties into Sith that we know, right? And that's also we don't. The thing is, here we got to keep. I mean, I fall into this trap too, right? We all know that Disney is making their own canon, which, as of right now, because even if you think about the prequels, Sidious never said Plagueis was his master. He just talked to him about Plagueis, right?
That is true. That is true.
Now, there's a good chance that we will. We always want to believe they wouldn't fuck with that, right? There's no. How many things have they fucked with? So we don't know, right? So Plagueis might not even be his master. Plagueis could have been before. So these names that we throw around, Plagueis, Tenebris, it could be none of them in this period. Even though we're like, well, it has to be one of the two if we go by legends, right? So we don't know. They could make Plagueis older. I have a feeling they might be going with Plagueis being older. too. That Plagueis is the master during this time period now. Who knows? But if we get nothing about who his master is, just even again, not a whole scene talking, seeing someone, a name. I want to hear a Darth and a name. Okay, he doesn't. His whole thing about I don't have a name, like, bro. You
No,
hold on a minute. You're perfectly fine with telling him, well, you Jedi call us the Sith, who haven't been seen in a millennium. Okay, you're perfectly fine telling him that, but my name, it's not important. Like, you could have told him your name, which wouldn't have linked to anything. Maybe he might remember the title Darth. Okay, but even if you didn't say Darth, you could have said whatever your fucking Sith name is, right? It's not like it would have clicked everything. Not that it matters, because you fucking told him. Okay? On top of that, I got so many problems with him in this fucking thing. I like the mask. Okay, people brought it up, and the malfunctioning lightsabers, which is that cortosis, right? You could tell that the cortosis in there. That was a neat little thing that they threw in there. I like the battle fight. I like the this or that. I don't like the wiry frame. People keep calling him jacked. People really, maybe it's because I watch wrestling so much. Fit is not jacked. Okay, he's fit. His frame, yes, he has 0% body fat, sure, but he's very wiry. It's very stringy, strong muscle, but there's no bulk on him. That is not what jacked means. He's cut. That's what I would say. But the whole dialogue, once it got to this little, like, obvious questioning between him and Soul, which sounded really weird. It was really awkward. They're like, question 1, why do you do this? Question 2, who are you? Question 3, whatever. And he was just answering each question in turn.
That was pretty bad.
It was the whole setup was bad. Once he took the helmet off, he was back to old Chimere. There was nothing intimidating to me once the helmet came off. Zero. That was intimidating. When he had the helmet on, everything was cool, right? I enjoyed it. I like the battle scene was fucking great. The brutality of him was great. It really felt give Sith vibes. Once the helmet came off, I lost all the Sith vibes, all of them, and nothing about the way he was talking gave me Sith vibes.
What is a Sith vibe to you? Like, what is a Sith vibe?
What he was doing in the helmet. The way he was talking,
You
and
just
I'm
don't
not
like
talking
the
about
way
the
he
voice
looks.
modulator. I'm not talking about no. I'm not talking about the voice modulator. Just his lines, except for that whole what you read my mind. No.
Like,
Even though it was a stupid thing, the way he said it was cool. There was a presence to him. There was no presence to him when the helmet went off.
Dooku, Maul,
Yes.
did they give you Sith
First
vibes?
of all, it's Christopher Lee. He just is the vibe.
I mean,
Okay?
Christopher Lee
Every
was great.
character
That's like
he is
Sith vibes.
The vibe. Yes.
Well, I mean, you've only seen like 3 Sith in live action, and yeah, no, like all of them do have a presence to them. I had no issue with him being like the reveal of
neither.
him being.
You
the Sith.
you want the
I
basic?
think
What Sith vibes? Evil.
Yeah.
Nothing
Evil?
about once the helmet was off did not feel evil to me. It felt jaded and that's it.
Snap someone's
it didn't
neck.
feel evil. That
Yeah,
was with the
I
helmet
bought
on,
into it.
motherfucker.
No,
I said.
No, he
snapped
had the
the
helmet off
guy's-
when he snapped Yor's neck.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
positive.
Well, again, hold on. When I say helmet off, I'm talking about the dialogue. I'm talking about when they're talking. Okay, not in mid-battle. Mid-battle is the battle scene. I spoke with the helmet off, but what I'm saying is that dialogue with the helmet on, dialogue with the helmet off.
I don't
Okay,
know.
I can
not
kind
the
of understand
actions,
that.
not the action scenes.
The
dialogue.
line where he's like, "Oh, that's what its name was." I thought that was really menacing and Sith-like, for lack of a better word. I like that.
Calling someone it. No, there's nothing
I
menacing
thought
about
it,
that.
I
That is
thought
just
it was
that's
funny,
just
at least.
I thought
Sure,
that
that's
was
so
so
dehumanizing.
little.
That's how
But
little he
let me
thinks
let me
of the
get back
Jedi.
to what I was saying. Okay, so the question,
minutes
I
is
have
up.
no name, but the comments. Well, because you guys took up fucking 45 seconds of it. Anyway, you guys, yes, I'm not saying names. Okay, Goldman mostly, whatever. Shut the fuck up, Helpins. Anyway,
Hit on
you know,
with it.
but the Jedi call me Sith, and there was zero surprise from Soul. Like,
That's
Sith.
true.
Nothing. Zero surprise. He just goes right into the like he's one of us asking the question. Motherfucker, you're a Jedi.
Why
you're not
risk
a viewer.
discovery?
Why risk discovery? Discovery what, motherfucker? You didn't know they existed until he just said he's a Sith. What do you mean, why risk discovery? You're talking like one of us. Oh, the Sith are in hiding. No one knows they're there. Why would he risk discovery? That's what we'll say in our review. Not fucking Soul. Zero surprise of what, again, why did everyone say the Coyote Mundi thing was important? Because of that, what just fucking happened. The Sith haven't been seen in a millennium. Well, apparently that line doesn't fucking matter because he just told Sol he's a Sith, and Sol's like, why is this guy? And it was just
Will of the
there was
Force.
nothing. It was just so bad. And his answer to that is, well, I wore a mask. The fuck is the hallmark of the fucking Sith?
He wasn't talking about his face reveal. He was talking about
No.
revealing himself like as a Sith, like a
It
dark
was
side
just
Force
a
user.
bad line. So when you put all those together, right? Like I could forgive that line as a throwaway line if the rest of the dialogue was good, right? That's when you're being too nitpicky. But the rest of it was just so. We're going to use only's word at this point. It was cringe. That dialogue between him and Sol was fucking cringe. The entire dialogue between them two was cringe. It's a few high points, but it was bad.
I can't wait to tell you what I thought was cringe in this episode. But Palpamemes, tell me what
We
you
did
thought
have
about the
a super
reveal.
chat, by the way.
Oh yeah, what did it
Yeah,
say?
our boy
Jackie
Will.
Qui-Gon matching torso. Oh God, I think
I remember.
I think she has
remember Qui-Gon.
2 more than he does. But yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
too. Palpamemes, you remember last night when Chimere was revealed to be the Sith?
I remember last night. I remember lunchtime at work when I watched this episode again. I, for once in my life, I'm not as doom about this as Lunga. I actually kind of like him, Chimera, as a Sith. I say Sith loosely because I think they could tie him into the Knight of Ren because he doesn't. It's complicated. He doesn't call himself a Sith. He says, "I'm what you might call a Sith," and I can understand that as based on the Jedi's perception of him. I'm playing into how this can work with the prequel trilogy if Sol makes it to the Jedi Council, or hell, not even makes it to the Jedi
We need a
Council.
new graphic.
The first thing Sol should have been doing is on his fucking telephone that works for the Force, saying, "Hey, Jedi Council, yeah, I just encountered a Sith. He killed 10 of our Jedi, including Jedi Masters. I'm on my way back with Osha, and yeah, we're fucked. We can figure this out."
No, you're totally right there. If he doesn't make a call,
it's anyways, back to whatever the hell his name is. I don't mind him. I thought he was intimidating. I thought he had this weird presence to him in the way he basically couldn't give a shit that he just killed a child with 3, stabs in her chest, in her torso. He reminds me kind of it reminds me of Robert Pattinson's Batman, like when his hair's just down, he's all emo looking. I don't know. I thought I didn't mind it. I thought he was okay, but like Lungo said at the beginning, it really comes down to what's going to happen with this character. I saw a theory that someone said is like, he's not a Sith, he's just his own kind of thing. Maybe he's a Ren or something like that. But then at the end of the show, Tenebres or Venomous is just going to find this guy that's impersonating as a Sith, and he's just going to fucking slice him up into pieces. I think that'd be an interesting ending to the story. But no, I think he's doing a good job. I can see a big difference between him playing Chimera and him playing the Sith. And that's about all I have to say about that. The reveal itself, okay, I don't really care. It's not surprising, but whatever.
Well, Goldman, I feel like we're going back to the days where you're the only positive person on here. What you love
I said I liked
about
it.
I don't care what you said, all right, pal.
what I love about
we were
Chimera-
on the phone for 2 hours talking about how shitty this thing was, all right?
Well, it is, but I still
You
like
guys
him
never
as a Sith.
text or call me.
Last time I texted you, I think I butt dialed you, and I sent you a text. I was
I
like,
don't think you even have my number, to be honest. So
I have something that says your real name, the Goldman. I'm not saying like your real name is the Goldman. I'm saying your real name dash the Goldman because
Yeah.
that's how I have you guys saved.
Well, we don't know who you've been texting for the last 6 months then. Only.
It was only one time. I butt dialed you. I thought it called and I sent a text. I was like, I forgot I even had your number, but sorry, I butt dialed you. You never hit me back, so I was like, all right, maybe it's not him. Maybe it's some other guy's. Like,
Oh,
what the fuck
we
is he
can-
He doesn't
talking
have you
Anyway,
in the contact
anyway,
list. He's like, who's this?
about? Yeah, sorry.
let's get back on track. The Chimera thing, like I wasn't surprised. I don't think the episode tried to play it off as a big surprise, so I'm not gonna say it was a failed surprise. But the Chimera is like when I think of Kylo Ren, I think of like the angry emo, like he's always angry and screaming. With Chimera, I kind of got like the happy emo, where he's like he just loves being evil in a way, and I kind of just really liked that about Chimera. And I like how one thing I hate about the Jedi in the prequels and in this show is how they all feel the same. They're all stoic and boring, and they follow rules, and no one likes them. With the Sith, at least, I kind of liked how they were all a little different. Vader's Vader, right? Palpatine's like the the maniacal evil. You know, Dooku is Christopher Lee, right? I wouldn't say he gives me Sith vibes, but I like Christopher Lee's acting. And Darth Maul, no one cares about movie Darth Maul, but Clone Wars and animated Darth Maul is great. So I like that the Sith all have a bit of a personality to them, and I like that Chimera has his own personality. I'm not going to excuse the dialogue, I guess, because I agree with Lunga about the point where he's like, I am a Sith, or I'm what you would call a Sith. And it, to me, I'm not sure if Soul like is either not surprised by that or he just doesn't know what a Sith is. I'm not sure what to read from him. And then it reminds me of there's the moment in Star Trek Into Darkness where Khan's like, I am Khan. It's like, we, the audience, know that's a big deal, but the characters don't. So I kind of got that same vibe here. It's like, does Soul even know what a Sith is? Which is actually an interesting question. It's like, do the Jedi teach about the Sith?
That's a
He's right fucking there. He's part of their small council. What does mean they're not knowing what the fucking? Yes, they know what a fucking Sith is.
Well, Keontae Moody might.
He's a minister.
They all
maybe
have to know
he
what
learned
the
more.
Sith are.
Anyway. So I liked that about Chimera, that he was a bit more unique, and he has my attention. He's the only character I'm invested in seeing, and I'm curious, like, what is his relationship to the Sith? Is he who's the apprentice of? Is he gonna die? Like, will he be killed by his master at the end? Is he simply a fake Sith and then he gets killed by the real Sith?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm somewhat invested in him
seems bent.
because
Sorry.
maybe
Go ahead, continue.
I feel like his performance in this episode made me more interested in his character. So I do care about him, at least. So I do care about one character. That was more than I cared about last week. So
Well, and I'm
I
gotta bring
the
this up.
reveal.
I gotta bring this up. You think the Jedi learned the history of the Sith?
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
in
I mean,
school.
they all know.
I mean,
all
it's
know.
only just, a school.
Well, hang on. Not only
this
that,
is what they
like
go through.
canon-wise, the Jedi do know. I mean, look at the Secrets of the Sith book or whatever, the new canon one they did. It talks about how like the Sith were like a separate order, like a splinter order of the Jedi and everything, and then there was like a
let's not
150-year
confuse
war
it.
and everything like
But
that.
it's
They knew that there was things as just rogue Jedi. There was things as dark side users.
but they also knew about the Sith as
is
their
a
main rivals.
specific thing.
keep in mind,
I'm
the Sith haven't been around for 900 years at this point. It's like, in our own history, can we name factions of people 900 years ago? It's like,
if
I'm
I had a
some
guy
of us
come up
could.
to me and
100
tell me,
years
he's
later,
like,
they sure did. It was an entire topic of a whole fucking council meeting.
Yeah, because the guy
yeah.
revealed himself as a... Wait, didn't actually...
Let me ask you a
Qui-Gon
question.
knew. Qui-Gon probably does more studying than
when
Soul does.
Sure, great. But when he came up and said that in front of the council, did anyone at council go, "What's a Sith"? Did any of them seem confused? They all fucking knew what he was talking about.
because they all know.
I'd expect the Masters know. I'm not sure if every single Jedi knows exactly.
Soul
what
is a
Sith
master.
I'm talking about in the prequels.
But
You're right.
still,
So
like,
anyway, Soul probably does know.
Soul probably no. I think he knows. I think he knows what the Sith is. I think his lack of a reaction is just like, wait, you're a Sith? Like, why would
The
you?
line.
Bad
risk-
writing.
Why?
It's just bad writing.
His follow-up line. Why really
Yeah.
reveal yourself? That tells you he knows what a fucking Sith is.
Yeah, that's how I took it. Where he's just like, wait, why would you do this? Like, wouldn't it be smarter to not fucking do this? Like, are you an idiot? And so, yeah, I'm torn on if this guy is really the Sith or not. I hope he is. In all the marketing, here's my problem. If he is like
He's bent
a
on
Ren, a
finding
Knights
an
of Ren,
apprentice. That
yes,
whole
but
thing
if
was
he's
about
not a
fucking
Sith though, but man, if he's not a Sith though, this whole show's a fucking waste. Because the entire this is what's kind of killing me now that we're 5 episodes in and now we're just now getting to the Sith stuff. The entire premise of this show, of it being called the Acolyte, is about the Sith, and we're 5 episodes in and we're just now getting into the Sith stuff. That kills me, man. Like, and like Goldman made a great point. The interest for me in this show now is Chimera. I just want to see him and whatever the fuck he's got going on. Because that was the premise I was promised 4 years ago. It's an Acolyte show and everything. It's mystery. There's nothing mysterious about the show. The only thing mysterious now is what's going on with Chimera. And still the same mystery they've been teaching since day one on the first episode is Mayanosha. What happened on Brindok, or whatever the fuck.
I hate it.
And you know we're getting another flashback. We all know we're getting another
It's gonna be next
flashback
episode. It's gonna be
probably,
next episode.
probably.
And it's gonna be
that's what's-
58,000 minutes long.
That's what's killing me with the show is that the stuff that is interesting, like Chimera and everything, is not the focus of the show. The stuff that's interesting about the premise of the show, the Sith, is not the focus of the show. It's May and Osha. So I really did like the way they did the reveal. I'm not happy that Chimere is the Sith because it's a little too obvious. This is supposed to be a mystery thriller. There's been nothing mysterious about the show at all.
There's a mystery. It's just not a good mystery or one you care about. Like, there
Okay,
is a mystery.
yes, but even still, no, mysteries are supposed to be a little fun.
But I think that's important because they're leveraging this show's ambition from its audience on the mysterious aspect of it.
Well,
And if they're not
one of the
executing it in a proper
one of the excuses you have with the mystery is as you watch, and if you're like, oh, I'm not enjoying this, the payoff is always, well, we're gonna find out who it is at the end. Like that's what I'm looking forward to.
That's all,
you know?
and I see that a lot. I see a lot of people saying that, and where they're like, "Well, wait till the show ends before having any criticism on it."
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
that's
no.
not fair. Like, no, that's
No,
not how
it's
this
not.
works.
Because there are things
Like,
happening in this
I
moment within
hate
these
that.
episodes that are
We can
simply
criticize-
inconsistent.
Yeah. Yeah, we can criticize each episode and how it plays into the overall narrative that as we're seeing it, right? There's nothing wrong with that. And then, like, we are not definitively saying, "Oh, this series sucks. Fuck it." We have not said that. We have said literally after every episode.
Maybe it gets better.
Well, we got to see what happens. Well, not even that's just
Yeah.
being positive, but at the very least, we say, "Well, we need to see how it plays out before we make a final judgment," because the stuff we're seeing now that we don't like could possibly make sense or at least be cohesive, if not better, by the time we get to the end. Because we need to see it as a whole first, right? But we still can dissect individual parts one by one. Which, like I said, for me, episode 3 was going to be completely pointless by the time we get to the end of the episode or the end of the series. To me, this episode made 4. You could have literally, because 4 was less than 30 minutes, right? And this one was what, just about 30 minutes?
It was like 32.
35.
Yeah.
You could have
35
taken
after
15 minutes, condensed 15 minutes of episode 4, and put it at the beginning of this one, made this a 45-minute episode like episode 3, and it would have been better.
It would have been a lot
didn't
better
need-
of an episode. And this episode, I mean, it's episode 5 out of an 8-part series, and it does add some more mystery and intrigue in the sense of Chimere being revealed to the Sith. I'm sure you guys remember last night watching this episode. Not Yol, Sol and Yord both recognize Chimere. Like, Sol says, he's like, I sense something familiar. And then Chimere, when he runs into Yord and everything, Yord's like, you. What the fuck is that about? Where the hell does all this come from?
He's the alchemist. Remember, they met him. They questioned him about finding May, and they had that whole talk with him for it lasted 2 minutes.
I wanted to, yeah. How did you forget about that? That
I
was a
completely
huge
forgot about
moment,
that scene.
and and that was a big critique I had
I
because
brought
this
it
just
up.
makes. No, I know, but this just makes the Jedi look even more moronic than
Yeah.
they possibly could be because they find this guy who's involved with making the poison that killed a Jedi Master. They know factually he's involved with this, and they don't take him in for questioning. Like,
Well,
They
I mean,
what?
there was nothing threatening. I mean, and that, if you want to play into the whole Sith hiding in plain sight thing, it worked, right?
If I
He's
make
just
a
this little
drug-
guy. No one believed that he was.
no, if I make
Sith
a drug,
killing
and this
Jedi.
is using real life thing but let me just make this clear. If I make some drug or something, I give it to a guy, that guy goes and poisons a senator in America. They're not going to just question me in my home and be like, oh, okay, well, see ya. No, my ass is going to the courts.
They're trying to keep us from the High Council. That's been the whole thing, right? This is how it's going to play into how did nobody know? They're this small group of Jedi that had made their own
They
small
brought
council.
OSHA in the
I'm so
first day
tired
because
of that
she
one
could have
guy.
to
been.
them, to their sect, and it
Do
was
the
and
same thing
bringing
with this
OSHA,
guy.
but bringing OSHA in, who was once a Padawan of Soul, is a different thing.
Sure.
This guy is
Well,
not
I think
a trained
we've-
Jedi,
we've-
which they didn't think he was. That trained in the Jedi.
We've
arts
already
and this,
said
okay?
that they were going to try to write this off as like the witches and everything, but no, I'm sorry. Soul has to die. I say it so many times, and it's one of those things that really pisses me off about Star Wars. There's a couple
OSHA's
things that
gonna
piss me
kill
off. I don't give a fuck who kills him, but someone has to die, especially Soul. But wait, when you tell me that the
Did
special
not enough
editions
die?
aren't disrespectful, hang on, let me finish my point. If you tell me the special editions aren't disrespectful, I'm pissed. If you tell me the Jedi in this story need to be idiots and ignorant and not know anything, I'm fucking done. I'm tired of the Jedi being dumb, all right? Can they be smart for once? So yeah, Soul needs to get back on the ship and call the fucking council and be like, yo, you're not going to believe the shit I just saw and what this guy just said. Everybody get down here right now. And we know they go there. I saw homegirl, Leslie's wife, bring out the whip, the purple whip she's going to use. And I'm not exaggerating. That's actually what happens in the show. She pulls out the whip when she goes to Kalnaka's planet and everything like that. But they need to explain it in a proper way. It can't just be, oh, the Jedi are dumb and nobody fucking knew and it's anything. It doesn't work anymore. All right.
My favorite.
But here's the thing. What the problem is you fundamentally dislike, and I'm sorry, this is the facts. You fundamentally dislike where George took the Jedis, because in the original trilogy,
I've said that for years.
Hold on. In the original trilogy, how many Jedi did we see? Not counting Luke Skywalker, who does not technically become one until Return of the Jedi, right?
Two.
How many Jedi did we see? No.
Two.
Darth Vader was not a Jedi.
Yoda
Okay,
was
there's
Obi-Wan.
there's Obi-Wan and Yoda.
Obi-Wan and Yoda. That's what we saw. That's it.
Yeah.
Yoda didn't do nothing except talk and train.
Yeah.
We saw one fight with Obi-Wan who died, and that's all we saw of the Jedi, dude, in the original trilogy. So you creed this.
No.
Based off of the unreliable narrator that was Obi-Wan Kenobi, you created this idea of what the Jedi were, and then when the prequels happened, you're like, this is not what I believe they were.
Can I just
It's
jump
not
in?
what
That's what
Obi-Wan
anybody
told me.
believed they
Hold
were.
on, hold on. I'm actually... my point of view isn't from the same point of view as Only, but I do agree with him. Because people always reference the Phantom Menace where Qui-Gon's like, I believe he could be a Sith Lord, and they're like, that blah, blah, blah. However, then Qui-Gon fights Darth Maul again, dies, and immediately they're like, okay, this is a Sith, where's the Master? Within the same day, we can assume the funeral was that same day, right?
All we ask for consistency. All we ask for is...
The fact that Soul or someone's going to find out that 12 Jedi got sliced to bits by this thing. It told Soul he's a fucking Sith. If they just are like, nah, probably not. I'm sorry. That is not consistent with the prequel Jedi at all. That's way worse.
It's not that it's not consistent. It's just it's tired. This is why I complained about The Last Jedi at the time. Is like, okay, look, I get it. Like the Jedi in the prequels fucked up, but the story does not need to be about the Jedi being fuck ups because at this point now with Star Wars, it's like, who are the heroes anymore? It's clearly not the Jedi.
I'm not even
It's
looking
what
at that.
it is.
I'm
No,
looking
but what
at...
it is not necessarily fuck ups. What it is, and you see this playing out. Well, she took a thread of what we saw in the prequels, and she's expanding it out to the end of the High Republic and how we got to the prequels, right? And
Yeah,
with that
absolutely,
thread,
clearly.
get it, thread. And what we got with that thread,
I remember.
what we get with that thread is the Jedi were consistently trying to hide and cover things up. So it's not about necessarily incompetence. It's about hiding things. It's about like, well, this can't get out because it won't look good. And
I
it was
know,
more about
but
that
what
than
changes
incompetence.
100 years later with the prequel Jedi? Because the second Qui-Gon gets killed by this
Qui-Gon.
thing, they're immediately... There were Jedi
That's what
Masters
changes.
there, were there not?
Qui-Gon was the one. Remember the whole don't defy the council again, Master. That was the whole thing about Qui-Gon. He was the one that broke the mold. He was the one that broke the mold of other Jedi who was like, listen, we can't keep hiding this shit. Let's talk about it. We got to talk about this shit. And he was frustrated that they kept wanting not to talk about it. They kept frustrated that they kept sweeping things under the rugs. That was the difference. Like it or not, I'm not saying that was the greatest plot thread of history. I'm just saying that's the difference.
Then I would say
Yes.
if that is the case, and if that is consistent with the prequel Jedi, I would just say that is just poor writing choices. Because I hate when I hate the idea that people can just throw any poor piece of writing as like, well, he's ignorant. That's what people did with Hux with The Last Jedi. I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to bring that up. But people say, well, he's ignorant. It's like, fucking where? The dude's a general. Anyways, he's a
nepo baby. He's a nepo baby.
He was great in The Force Awakens.
I don't want to talk about the Jedi anymore.
For poor writing decisions. It's such a cop-out, and I hate it.
Talking about poor writing decisions, can we talk about May?
Can we talk about May? Can I talk
I do
real
want
quick?
to talk about May and Osha, yeah.
I disagree with you both. That Osha or that May's flip-flopping in this episode is an issue. Last episode, we agreed that her saying, I want to turn myself into the Jedi so I can get out of this was bad. I agree. Last episode, that stunk. But that was before she knew that the Sith Master was on the planet, and that was before she knew that Kalnaka is dead. Now she's in a situation where she walks inside this house, she sees a dead Jedi, and the rest of the Jedi are around her. It's like she's already wanted by the Jedi. Now she's going to be framed for another murder. Yeah, I don't blame her for wanting to bail on that plan and try and run away. I would not still turn myself in after that. So I do not think that was a illogical character move.
No,
for him.
I think
let me
the
say
best way
this
to
before
explain
it
it was the
comes.
Sith with the Sith going after her. I think that's the only way they should have tried to explain it. She just wants to
no.
get off the planet. It just seemed so sudden. She was just like, "Oh, I'm trying to get
The
away now."
suddenness isn't the problem. This is just the problem, and this is what you're missing, Goldman. And if you try to explain this away, I'll try to want to reach through this and slap you. This is this is the problem.
Okay.
She went from saying, "You know what? I'm going to turn myself into Jedi and tell them everything. Turn myself in to the people I claim to not trust." Okay? Just a Sith being there does not suddenly make her not trust a Jedi. If it could make her scared, saying, "Shit, I got to get the fuck out of here." Sure, I can buy that. Okay? But once she finds Osha, they brainwash you. You need to believe me, not them. For once, you needed. 10 minutes ago, you were ready to turn yourself into the people that you were not telling your sister. How can you think like them? They were wrong. They brainwashed you. So the people that brainwashed your sister, you're trying now to actively talk her out of it again. And how is the ruin of your family were the same people that 10 minutes ago you were ready to turn yourself into, that 10 minutes prior you were trying to kill. That makes no fucking sense, Goldman. I don't care how you fucking cut it. That doesn't make, if you, like I say, if you take that line out and, she was scared, she was trying to get away. Sure, I could buy all of that. But once she started again and flipped again to the Jedi, the most evil thing on the planet, or the galaxy, but 10 minutes ago you're ready to turn yourself into them and and trust being in their possession.
Can I say my
no.
my problem with the May flip wasn't it was this one, and I agree with Lunga, but even more frustrating was at the end of the episode with May and Osha. That was horrific. How do you even explain that? And then she knocks her out because she fell a few feet and hit her head on the wall, and then she takes her clothes. She's gonna go do whatever she wants with Soul. Like, I'm sorry, like
you were always bad at blocking.
she literally goes from just hugging her sister, and her sister's questioning, like, "No, you can't do this. You need to go. You need to be arrested for this." When she herself was gonna let herself get arrested. People like, what the fuck? Come on. It doesn't make sense.
What changed?
It's frustrating.
What changed in episode 4 for her to suddenly not think?
Well, and now the Sith is gone and got eaten by bugs, so it's like he's gone.
We saw he wasn't.
No, I being facetious.
It was just
from the point of view, from the
if it
point of
wasn't
view
for
of
you meddling kids, that's all it
Which,
was.
can we-
He was
can
taken
we-
away.
Can we talk about how absolutely horrid that writing idea was? Well, we got to get the Sith out of this, so let's have the bugs chase the light, even though they
Dude.
had lights on the entire
Are
fucking
we gonna get into
time.
this? Thank you. Thank
The
you.
bugs were
Thank
terrible.
you. Soul sitting
Why?
there holding the lightsaber, and she's like, "Soul, what?"
They chased
Oh,
the
the
light.
bugs.
Why aren't they chasing you then?
He's had his lightsaber
Oh,
on the whole
and,
fucking time.
Can we talk about how, I could use a very strong word, how dumb Kamir is? This dude's been force pushing
Yeah.
people left and right and center all at the
Can't
same
force
time.
push all these bugs.
He sees this thing get stuck to
I
his
would
back.
argue-
Hold on, only before you say something. This dude doesn't know what's on his back. He just knows something got thrown in his back. What if May just threw a fucking sticky bomb on his back?
Yeah.
He's over here wailing his freaking arms like a moron, and then bugs come in. It's like,
Well, you know what that
That's
was.
bad.
That was supposed to be this emotional tie we were supposed to have with this droid that no one cared about.
Pip. I barely fucking think about that guy.
yeah, the thing that
Of-
doesn't
of-
shut up.
Cal Kestis's little droid is what it's supposed to be, just with no legs.
Yeah. And I was gonna say with like the whole May and Osha thing, it's really bad, man. Like the scene
Thank
with
you, we
those
already
two
said
at
that.
the end and everything, like the talking, it's like what they did on the bridge in the other episode, and she literally says like the same thing. She's like, "What have you done?" It's like,
What have
yo,
you done?
Yeah, it's so, and it's Goldman brought this up last week or I think a week before about like the acting of like the believability that these are two separate characters and twins, and when they interact, this scene is so, it's stuff like this that really ruins the series, where it's like, this is so uninteresting. Like, you have one sister, May, who is so in love with the other one, Osha, and just wants to be with her and be her, twin and be together forever. And she's like, "Don't leave us, pick me and everything, pick us, choose us." And then you got Osha, who just does not care at all. Like, it's just awkward. Like, it's really uncomfortable and like awkward to watch because it's the same character thing they've had going on. And like, they don't talk like normal people either. Like, it's such bad dialogue where it's like, Osha should have just been like, "Yo, bro, you tried to fucking kill me. Like, are you fucking insane? You
That's-
burnt.
it's not
You
brought
tried
up.
to burn me alive." You tried to burn me alive. Like, why would she not bring that up? And then they have that cringe, like, back and forth of, like, martial arts of, like, I got you in an armbar. You're going to the Jedi. I got you in an armbar. You're coming with me. I got you in an
WWE
armbar.
Raw.
And then, oh my God, what sealed the deal of what we talk about cringe, of this being so cringe, she gets the lightsaber, and she does this, like, little voodoo stance, bends her neck over, and gets the hair. I wanted to vomit. But
I
That-
feel what was wrong with that.
And the choir starts
If you
playing.
can't
It's
see-
like
yeah,
the emo
yeah,
chick
no, I'm
deciding
sorry.
to cut her dyed
It's-
hair. She's like, I'm not emo.
Golden,
You're right, Mom. It
I'm
was a
gonna
phase.
Golden, I'm going to give you a pass because I know what you said at the beginning of the episode, where the other things were so bad, you actually loved this one. It's what Star Wars does, young man.
Can
it's,
I
it's,
just
it gives
say-
you poison, and you just
No.
start loving it.
No, I think that there's just there's certain things I agree are poor, but then we say other things are cringe. I just don't find cringe. I
Cringe
wouldn't
is
say there's
really
good
just
moments.
a full-on subjective
It's like
thing
she
where
cut
it's like,
she cut her hair. It's like I
It's
don't
the
see
way it
what's
was
so
filmed.
cringe
It's the
about that.
way
moment.
she cut her hair.
After this, I have something to say.
Thank you.
Oh, she has
Axel.
long
What do you
hair.
say?
You ever had long hair? What? Do you expect her to put it in a
No,
tail
no, no,
and
no,
cut it
no,
like
no.
that?
I want to talk about
Kanan
something.
did?
I want to talk about something
Well,
else.
she
that
was
touches-
trying to look like OSHA. That was we saw.
No,
that.
no, no.
Yeah,
I get that. I get
Yeah, no,
that.
I get the
Hold on,
reason.
hold on. Let me. Okay, here we go. I got one thing for y'all. I remember. It's a film for 12-year-olds. Thank you, George. I remember Anakin burning and is getting everything chopped off. Okay, yeah, she can cut her hair. What the fuck ever. I don't care. It's a cringe moment. I'm sorry. The choir music. It was like supposed to be this bad girl moment. No, it's lame. However, the biggest part about this falls on just a writing issue. May has something that's very distinctive from OSHA that, from my understanding, she has not gotten rid of, nor can she get rid of. It's a big fucking tattoo on her damn forehead.
That Indara
Yeah.
points
So
out
Saul's
at
a
the very first
complete
episode.
moron.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
very first episode, Indara points it out. She like moves her hair to try to see it better. I mean, it. Come on.
It's still gonna be like, oh, you get a new tattoo?
You're
Like,
totally right.
what?
I think what they're gonna do is in
It's massive too. It's like this big on the side of her.
I know. I think she's gonna hide it the whole time, right? I think they're gonna point to the tattoo on.
She was
Osha's
hiding it
arm.
when she was fighting Indara.
Yeah.
Indara was like,
that. I think I am not disagreeing with you. I think in the next episode or whatever, Soul is gonna like point to the. Because remember, I think it was in the first or second episode. Soul's
She has
like,
a
OSHA, I
tattoo
don't
on
like
her
your
arm, OSHA.
triangle tattoo or something. And even when OSHA was laying there passed out when Chimere came, like they kind of put that tattoo like right, not exactly in the center frame, but it was clearly visible. I think they're gonna use that, especially if May is like hiding her face. I mean, if she hit it well enough from, she was wearing a mask in her fight with Endar, so yeah, we'll see.
But
how May
Here's my
gets away
thing.
with
Here's
that
my
one.
thing. It also comes down to Soul just being a complete moron, just an inconsistency of power.
What's he being a
Hold
moron
on.
about?
Okay. Well, the fact that
it's
he's not going to
sad
see that.
because he
also,
wasn't.
also,
he was
also,
fine
Let
for
Palpatine
4
answer.
episodes.
Also,
and now he became
it-
stupid in
ano-
one episode.
This is another point. It comes back to Chimere. You know, he talks about how this helmet's going to keep from one way or another from him from reaching his mind, because clearly Soul is really good at that. We've seen that multiple times in this show. Yet he can't tell that he's got the wrong freaking twin girl in his ship. There's no force connection because this girl was his Padawan for what I would assume is many years. I can't comprehend the idea that he wouldn't be able to naturally feel like, oh, this is not the same person. I'm sorry. It's
he's got
bonkers.
PTSD, Palpamemes. He just
No,
saw
he
everybody
didn't. You know,
die.
he really didn't seem like he cared. All right, he really didn't seem like he gave a shit.
Well, and that's another problem with this episode too, where it comes down to like the substance of some of this stuff. Jackie dies, and we're like, oh, it's kind of sad, but like they've established that like Osha and Yord have known each other for a very long time. Like they seem kind of like brother and sister.
That was
And when
supposed to
he
be
dies-
emotional, but it wasn't.
And she just is just like, yeah, and even, and this goes back to the editing. Even the scene where like Osha and May like reunite and like talk, the editing is so bad in the show because you see May from afar when she knocks out Soul with the stun gun or whatever. They stare at each other. It cuts to like a sun and an establishing shot, and then it cuts back to them two just standing in front of each other and talking about everything. It's so weird. And another thing, this is a side note and almost a tangent, but I wanted to remember this from earlier. Yord taking Osha back to the ship basically did absolutely nothing. Like it was a waste. Like they literally left to take her back to the ship, and then halfway
It
through
was
she's
so
like,
they can establish the scary bugs.
I remember last week the
You remember
bugs.
the
Yeah, the
bugs?
bugs.
That
Yeah.
chase the light?
Great
Except
bugs.
for when
The
every
reason,
lightsabers
the whole,
on?
I mean, that was part of that, right? But it wasn't that. It was to follow you because they have to be separate the entire time, right? That's the whole point. That this episode was supposed to be at the end of this was the reunion, which only lasted fucking a minute.
It was an awful reunion.
but it was to separate them, right? Because the whole thing about to create drama, one of the plot devices to create drama is the separating of the characters and then them coming back again. That was the whole reason. It was a plot device for that. It was a badly written plot device. Like, there's some people who just use the plot device and move on. Then there's some people who are like, well, let's make it at least interesting. Let's make the dialogue during this plot device interesting. And they didn't. I mentioned when the bugs, I'm like, well, we know they're going to come back into a play, right? And they did. Stupidly.
They did.
Which is like, people are like, because I can see the people right now. Oh, look at you nerds sitting here debating how interstellar bugs work. It's like, no. All I ask is to follow the rules that you created in your world, and not even your expanded world of 50 years, which I still expect. But the one you just created in the last 2 fucking episodes.
It's not even the bugs though, bro. Like what's killing it is that
stop.
It's
Let's just
dialogue.
think about this. He turns on his lightsaber instantly. This fucking bug comes, and he has to fucking slice it down. He made a whole production of him slicing that bug that literally flew into his lightsaber, right? Because it was so attracted to light, and this was during the daylight. It wasn't even nighttime. They mentioned just turning on this lightsaber made the bugs come. Then when she was walking with Yord, shut off your lightsaber. Why? Because the bugs are going to come. And him, why? What do you mean, why? Did you just forget what just happened? You're going to ask why? This is why I feel the writers aren't talking to each other. Yord, it's like, oh, suddenly he has fucking amnesia? He don't remember what just happened fucking 5 minutes ago?
But
Okay?
it's a writer's room, Lunga. They wrote everything together. Like that's what's so bad about this show.
Didn't. No, they had one room where they all came in together originally at the beginning, and then only certain people went into that room during the series, and then they came back together at the fucking end. Did it work? I don't know. We'll see.
No,
That's what happened.
I think you're underestimating how bad these writers are. Because the first thing I thought
I'm
about
not
when Ocean,
underestimating.
they were
I've
talking,
said it. The writing and the writers, she got the most amateur. It feels like she got all the 20-somethings and early 30 people that she thinks are great writers that are up and coming. She's like, I want to give them a shot.
Yeah, no, that's exactly
Do
what's
that
going
with
on
one
here.
of them. Dude, do that with one. Do that with one. Okay, not your entire fucking staff.
This scene where May and Osha reunite is supposed to have a lot of emotion to it, but they've done nothing to merit that. And I like what Goldman said a couple weeks ago about just Star Wars in general, about you kind of have to earn my excitement and everything like that. They did that with Kymir in this episode, where they've earned my excitement going forward of like, I want to see what happens. Throughout 5 episodes, they've yet to earn my excitement with May and Osha. Like, I'm least interested now that the twin thing has been played out. Osha does not love May, and May loves Osha, but like in a psychotic way where she wants to kill her if she's not with her or whatever. And this reunion, it's like there's no emotion to it, because it's like, why would I care that they're reuniting when Osha has never really wanted anything to do with her and everything? It's just, it's very weird.
I think you're not representing what was portrayed in the episode. I don't think Osha doesn't care about May. I think she still does love her in a sisterly way, but just cannot trust her at all. It's like when she first saw May in the second episode, there was clearly emotion there.
Yeah, I'm not saying she doesn't love her.
No,
it's a blood sister.
The emotion was, oh, she's not dead.
I don't get the vibe that it's like strong hatred.
No,
I'm not saying it's strong hatred. I'm saying
like,
she doesn't care like that. She's
it's like disappointment. It's like when Osha hugged May, like she cried too. She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. This is like what my sister's become."
But that's why. But that's why she cried, because she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to arrest her." But
she cares.
Mean
it's not that she
anything.
doesn't care. She's disappointed or upset in what.
When I'm saying she doesn't care, I mean that she is. It's been the same thing. What you're describing right here, though, in this modern scene with these 2 grown women at this point that are like 24, it's the same thing that happened when they were 10. Where she's just like, yeah, like, you're my sister, I love you, but I don't want to do everything with you. And like May is the crazy one who's like, now you're me and I am you. You make me, I make you. It's so cringe. I hate to say that, but it really is. And they keep going with this, where it's like this twin thing is not working, bro.
You gotta move on. But do you expect them to bail on the twin plot line after episode 2?
Yeah,
they should
make good. You always only. Here's the problem with you. You make great points, but then you add the most subjective bullshit that means nothing, that adds nothing to the point. That's what you do every single time. Stick with
like
the
an
point.
old man.
Don't
Just
add
going
your dumb
on.
subjective dumb shit. These fucking kids. Anyway,
They aren't fucking. It's annoying. Like
if you can't, I mean, you can't see this. It is so apparent. Okay, it is not a hatred, right? But it's that person who's like had enough. Just think in real life, who's had enough with a family member, and it's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna love them because they're my brother, they're my sister, they're my whatever. Okay, but at the end of the day, I just can't have nothing to do with them because they're just not a good person. Period. That's how I feel about it. They wronged me or people around me too much that they're toxic, right? I had to cut them out of my life. That's how she sees May. She's toxic. She had to cut her out of her life. That's it. Doesn't mean that there's no lingering emotion. Sure, there is. That was still her sister, and to find out that her sister, who she thought's been dead for the last 16 years, isn't, is a shock. Even if you cut them out or not, it's still a shock. So she's gonna feel that, right? And I'll say the one thing she's been consistent on, it seems like, has been, yeah, I really don't have nothing to do with her. That's what she's been consistent on. And I know why they're building that up. Because the one thing they've been teasing the entire time, that Soul knows something that he's not saying. And she keeps asking him, and he keeps avoiding it. And once she finds out, she's going to lose her shit. And she's going to say, I've hated my sister, aside from the obvious issue of her sister locking into a room and setting it on fire and trying to kill her. Aside from that, I've hated my sister this whole time, or cut my sister out of my life this time and didn't want to have anything to do with her, even though I thought she was dead, because your lie of what that you guys actually did, whatever happened. That's where it's gonna the emotion. That's where Osha's gonna go from this kind of like bland emotionalist thing into this ball of fury, and that's why I keep thinking she's gonna be the one that becomes a Sith or the Acolyte.
Yeah, but I feel like this reveal you're talking about, I feel like when it comes, whatever Soul did or anything, I don't think it's gonna be such a big like, oh, that explains everything. It's gonna be like, all right, finally, we got that fucking out of the way. Can we move on to Chimera and the Sith and everything? Even what you brought up earlier when you said that you hope this ends with like just the title of the Darth and everything like that. And just no, man, like I want a little bit more. Like the interesting stuff about the show is the stuff they don't focus on, and the least interesting things about the show is all that they focus on. I'm tired of it.
Again, it's just the inconsistency with May mostly, right? Osha's I can deal with. She's bland, right? But I think that's because they're setting her up to go from bland to this ball of fury, right? That's what's going to happen, and that'll be okay. But the biggest inconsistency is with May. How you, and even if you're going to have her emotionally flip flop, give us some context on why, not just this scene cutting that goes from I'm like this to now suddenly I'm like this, right? There's nothing. It could just be as simple as this. They talk about this connection they have, right? That fucking Osha noticed we have to go back. He's going to kill them all, right? She knows that. You could have had May connecting with Osha every time she's angry and getting the feels of it and then falling back into it. Just that alone, that little, like, Luke and Leia, right? And she's like, Leia, you know? And they feel each other. Just that. That is enough to swing a person's emotional pendulum, right? That would have made sense. That at least would have made me go, okay. It doesn't have to be a long dialogue. It doesn't have to be an exposition dump. It doesn't have to be a whole flashback. Just that little scene between Luke and Leia when they did that in the original trilogy. If you just did something like that, instead of just one-sided, right? It's just Osha saying, we have to go back. It wasn't even about May. It was, we have to go back. He's going to kill them all. It's like, oh, so that you're sensing, but your sister, fuck that. You know, we obviously showed you guys had some kind of connection, but now it doesn't matter. They're not doing that. They're not giving us anything to, care about these sisters enough, right? And I think that's a disservice. It is, because I thought they would have been great characters. And there's been flashes of stuff that I do like about them, but they haven't given us enough to make them compelling enough. And we did get a super chat, by the way.
And it's what I call cringe. You're with me, I'm with you. Always one, but born as two. Like that's the stuff where I look at that
they wrote
and
that,
I'm like,
and they're like, "This is fire. This is it."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like who looks at this shit and goes, "Yeah, go with it, bro." Like, oh my god. All right, but let's get the fuck out of here.
You remember Jackie's Rose Tico's? Jackie's line was basically like Rose Tico's.
Oh, I remember. You know what I also remember?
I love
when May goes.
What line? Which
when she says what would she say? It's not what we it's what we accomplish.
It's not about what we fight. It's not about
we're not defined by
saving.
No, that was Rose Tico.
Yeah,
that's Rose Tico.
That line from Jackie, I didn't. And listen, I don't think the Rose line is good. Just to make that
Oh,
clear. I
we're
thought
not
Becky's line
defined by what we
Yes.
have. We're defined by what we've lost.
Survive.
We're not
I think
defined
it's
by
defined
it,
how
yeah.
we survived or something like that.
doesn't
Oh, that's
my,
better than the Rose line. I
My
actually
favorite
don't mind that
memberberry
line.
of this episode is when May looks at OSHA and says, "They've turned you against me." That's when I was like,
I remember. Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. I remember.
yeah,
Anakin
yeah.
said
They
that
turned you
to
against
Obi-Wan.
me!
Oh no, he
Yeah.
said it to Padme. Wow, I remember that.
And then I love when Kymir turns to Soul, which is actually the
My
camera
new
lens, and
empire.
says, "Yeah." He's like, "No, this is the Revenge of the Sith." Like, God damn it.
And then Cal Kestis comes in and says,
Soul's
"I'm
like,
Cal
no, that's
Kestis."
not for another 100 years. Just hold on, slow down. It'll happen.
Yeah.
No, but it
give
just
that a
happens
second.
because it's Star Wars.
Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Like, no, that's not yet, sir. I need you to calm down.
Why haven't we
and-
gotten a Family Guy parody of Star Wars since the Disney buyout? There are so many things they could do with this.
No, because
I
they
miss
only did the
those.
originals, and unlike all these kids, don't understand the prequels and the sequels are not like pop culture icons like the originals. So they could make money off the original trilogy parodies. They ain't gonna make no money off no prequel, Clone Wars, sequel, trilogy.
Hating Disney Star Wars is a pop culture icon. They absolutely could make money off of it.
Yeah, but you gotta like reference things that are like interesting. That no one's gonna be like, oh yeah, that salt planet that they were on in the Last Jedi. All right, it's not people in the mainstream don't know about. They don't give a
This
fuck.
is a
about that shit,
topic
all
for
right?
another day.
It is. Let's move on to our ending of the show so we can get the fuck out of here so I can stop thinking about this
I gotta go to the
goddamn
store.
franchise for a second. What would you... What did we give last week's episode ratings? I don't even remember. Did I give it a
I
5
gave it a
out of 10?
Well, we know you said it was a banger.
Yeah.
That's
I got
what
shot
you
for
said.
you.
Look,
I got
Lunga,
for
you don't
Ollie. There you
understand.
go.
There was like a running joke within like MMA and boxing where it was like like whoever like this guy was fighting and be like, oh man, like this guy's got it's Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz. Like Nate Diaz has like the speed, the power, the velocity. McGregor by knockout. You know, like just constantly you know how it's gonna. This is how this is. This is a banger episode. I liked a lot of it. Shock and awe all throughout.
You have done
5 out
more
of 10.
disservice for the word banger than anyone has in the history of the English language. Let me just put it that way. You have minimalized and destroyed the impact of that word with your usage of it. It's
I have
and the
made
world is-
banger.
and the
It's
world
like,
is
me,
not
it's like me
better
with objectivity.
Hey,
Just
banger
not
maybe
is
anymore.
now more popular than it's ever been, and I want you guys to know that I brought member berries into the mainstream again. All right, don't act like I don't know.
Banger. It's like you don't say the g. It's banger.
or
I
say
don't
it
give
like
a
or say
fuck
it,
what
say it like
people
the
in
British
Colorado
banger.
pronounce their fucking things. All right.
It's just the
You
English
know,
language.
Sheamus in WWE, his shirt is banger after banger after banger after banger. That's
Yeah, I remember
that's what
Sheamus from like 10 years ago. I'm
Lunga,
surprised.
he's
what would
wrestling
you
right
rate
now.
this episode?
Okay. See, I really hate. So I hate.
Oh,
these-
here we go.
these,
Here we go.
individual episode ratings. I hate it because it's like they change based on what you've seen previously and what comes later. It can change the context of the episodes.
In of itself.
It's definitely better than 3 and 4. But I have to say it's better than 3 and 4 just for the base reasons of, hey, we got a bunch of action. You know, it's that simple. It's better because of that. Once we got to the actual, nitty gritty of the episode with the nuts and bolts of between Chimera and Soul, that dialogue was so dissatisfying between the two. It didn't help it at all as far as the one of the main plot lines, which plot line, not storyline. Plot line, which is the Sith, right? Which they kept promising us, which Leslie Henn had mentioned at the beginning. At the very beginning, I had to correct Palpatine's about Leslie Henn said this is about the Sith and the rule of two and blah 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 blah, which is apparently it's not. It's we're not. It's that seems to be just a backdrop, and it's not as big of a deal as I said. So I don't think we're going to get much more on it, which is disappointing. I still, once again, they keep hurting this character of May with their inconsistencies in her, with the constant cuts from one emotional spectrum to another with her, and not like the like the bipolarish Kylo Ren kind of switch in emotions, right? That at least you can understand because it's just this like complete change of philosophy that she has that you if you're discerning and you're trying to understand narrative, I know what you're trying to tell me. I'm smart enough to know what you're trying to tell me, but you're not doing it well. I'm sorry, you're not. You're not doing it well for whatever reason, be it editing, costs, cutting of time. You're cutting out the wrong things and replacing it with things that aren't as important. When if you wanted to make these characters important, you just needed add those little connections between her and May with the Force, which would have done so much more for the emotional impact between the two, between how we as a viewer feel about each of them, and understanding their story throughout this series. They're still failing to do that, and it's sad because I think these characters could have been really, really intriguing, and they're just not doing that well enough. And I even think that the actress is doing a great job as well, and she could do much better if they gave us more to care about the characters. And I just don't think they're doing that. But, unlike Only, who thinks last episode was a banger because of 10 seconds of Sith at the end of a bad episode, this episode was half fighting, okay? So I would say it is the best episode since episode 1 and 2. Now, which I think I gave those an 8 for 1 and 2. So
Yeah.
this is about a 6.5.
So it's a bang, but not a banger.
Listen, banger's got to be 8 plus for me, okay? And if it's not 9, it's a bang. Adding the is 9 plus. So
Never add the Palpa memes. What would you give this episode?
It's the most enjoyable episode out of the series, but that doesn't make it a good episode per se. It did the bare minimum something Star Wars could possibly do. And I'm not saying its production is the same quality, but it reminds me of like that Darth Maul fan film where it's like, oh, this is like fucking badass, right? I don't give two shits about any of these characters, but this is really cool. That's what this episode felt like to me, where it's like great action, choreography, fantastic. I really, really liked it. Big step up from Kenobi in the sequel trilogy. Really, really good stuff. But I would say that this episode is the epitome of style over substance. We have a lot of cool stylistic things going on here, but without the substance. They didn't do the legwork, the heavy load work to get us to really be invested in what's going on. All these Jedi get killed. I do not care. I have zero emotions with them. And this show's just falling short on way too many levels. I love Kamir. I like Kamir as a Sith. I won't say love yet. Love's a very strong word. I like Kamir as a Sith. I think there's a lot of potential with it. I think it'd be interesting if he is some sort of branch of a Knight of Ren and he's impersonating as a Sith. And the real Sith, Tenebrous and Venomous or whoever, do come up. Or maybe they're, actual apprentice and they just defeat him, showing at the end of the episode that the Sith really still are in hiding. I think that'd be interesting. I'd be okay with that. But this episode had a lot of silly things in it. I can go from May's characterization to the bugs to Soul to even some of Chimere's actions. And so because of that, because it's an enjoyable episode, I'm going to give it straight at a 5 out of 10.
I said love before. I'm kind of tired of really analyzing and giving my objective take on this show. It's like I've already come to terms that the writing is not great. The dialogue is poor. So I've already accepted that. So it's like this episode had more than that. So I wasn't really let down anymore. It's still not great. But the action really surprised me. And it's like I think I can give I think my rating this may not make sense, but I think my rating for a season of a TV show as a whole can be different than the average of all the episodes. I still think the writing as a whole stinks. But this episode, probably just from a pure choreography, I thought it was the best that Star Wars has done in a long time. I loved the unique ways in which Chimera fought, the unique ways where the Force was used, the helmet and how you could turn off the lightsabers. I thought it was all really well done, and the fact that everyone died besides Soul, the twins, and Chimera, that genuinely surprised me. I don't get genuinely surprised by Star Wars. So it's like I still acknowledge the writing is so poor, but I'd probably give this episode a 7. It's like I thoroughly I loved the action. It's like, yeah, the story matters more than the action. But it's like I've already come to terms that the story's quite shite. But I was beyond surprised by the action, so it kind of makes up for it. The great action of this episode is not going to change my view on the series as a whole, but I will probably rewatch this episode at some point just because I really loved the action. So I'd go with a 7.
Yeah, there's a lot of, and even though I'm not a rewatch guy, there is a lot of little things, especially during the fight and a lot of stuff that happened that you can rewatch. Like the whole thing with the lightsabers. Like it's like they put it in there and there's no explanation of it, which is great. It leads us to speculate. And it happened a couple times. You're wondering, wait, why is this happening? And it was a big deal the way it sparked off his helmet, and then you see or it sparked off the gauntlets. So there is some rewatchability. I do agree with you that, Goldman.
Yeah, I'm like I said earlier, I'm in the middle of all of you guys with this. I thought episode 5 night following episode 4 day and next week morrow was a banger fucking episode. I love the action, I love the drama, the reveal was cool, and this episode had a lot of fun excitement going on. So it was a banger episode, 6.5 out of 10.
That doesn't compute, but okay.
You use my same number, and you're
yeah, I know because I made that number before we even started the show because I just knew.
How
I was
are
like,
between us? I'm a 6.5. Goldman's a 7, and you said 5, right, Papa Memes?
It's 5.
Yeah, you're right there with me and Goldman.
Yeah,
you're not in the middle of anyone.
In between Goldman and Palpa Memes, ish, it's a banger episode, 6.5.
Yeah, it's a banger.
There's issues. It's a banger. There's some issues.
If I would not be opposed to using the adjective banger to describe this episode.
That's what I'm saying.
With the action, it does lend itself to it.
Yes. Last week, hell no. You can take last week's a banger episode. Something's wrong.
Yeah, you're not
this
consistent
week.
Here. Star
It's like
Wars
most of the action. Most of this episode was the action. The action was great. So yeah, I would say this was a banger episode.
You guys
certified
here first.
banger. Acolyte episode 5.
Exactly. Lucasfilm, you have our permission to use this in any promotional material. Chatooine show has officially endorsed episode 5 of the Acolyte as a banger episode.
Banger.
Yeah.
Certified banger. Not certified fresh. Fuck Rotten Tomatoes and everybody on there, but this is a banger. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode. Maybe next week we'll have another banger episode of the Chatooine show.
Banger
Before we close
flashback
out tonight,
episode.
I want to give a big shout out to all the channel members that we love to member. Tom, Katie Miller, Gus, Leor, and my boy, and your boy, that cloney boy. And also, big shout out to you guys who gave us some super chats this week in this episode. That means a lot to us. It's keeping the lights on over here. And, the show is getting better. And fun fact, we hit 600 subs during this stream. Good job, ladies and gentlemen. We did it.
What a great day. We had
Chatooine's
a banger episode.
A
And
banger episode.
Wait a minute. I think we need another one.
I think
we need
more
another
What
one.
happened? What happened, Lunga? Are you falling to the dark side? Is Kaim here behind you, sir?
No, we apparently need more super chats. You said it's keeping the lights on.
No,
they shut off
fuck.
there for a
Well,
second.
yeah, no, please. And Chicago is probably the
$5.99.
most expensive. Yeah, no, but banger episode. So we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode, and hopefully next week is just as bangerish and memorable.
Love
God, I
banging,
hate
man.
I love this fucking franchise so much. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. See you next week, and may the force be with you.